The Senate Committee on Nominations will come to order. The clerk will please call the roll.
Campbell.
Here.
Sparks.
Here.
Alvarado. Eckhart. Hughes. LaMattia. Miles.
Here.
Paxton.
Present.
Springer.
Here.
There being 5 present, a quorum is established. There are other committees meeting concurrently, so you may see members come and go. For those wishing to offer testimony before the committee today, please fill out a witness card that you can find at the back table and return the card to the messenger. We have an important task before us, everyone, and good morning. We have an important task before us, and that's to make sure that the individuals who are appointed to serve Texans in government are best suited and qualified for the job. Members, we have nominees who were on our Monday, April 17th agenda that were left pending before the committee. I would like to call a vote for these pending nominees. Providing we have a quorum at the end, I will plan a vote on the folks that are on the agenda for today. Saying that, if there are any requests to sever last week's appointments. Hearing none, the clerk will please call the roll.
Campbell.
Yes.
Sparks.
Yes.
Alvarado. Eckhart. Hughes. LaMattia. Miles.
Aye.
Paxton.
Aye.
Springer.
Aye.
There being 5 ayes and 0 nays, the nominees will be sent to the full Senate for confirmation. All right. Before we hear from the nominees who were actually invited to appear for testimony, I'd like to recognize our guest senators. Senator Birdwell was here first. Thank you so much, Senator Birdwell. The chair recognizes Senator Birdwell to introduce Mr. Curtis Cleveland, who's been reappointed to the Texas State Technical College System Board of Regents. Mr. Cleveland, if you will stand where you are. Perfect. And he will introduce you, and then we'll bring you up later. So you can just stand where you are. Thank you, sir. Senator Birdwell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It is a treat to introduce Curtis Cleveland, a native of Waco. Curtis graduated from Waco ISD's Richfield High School in 1972 before attending Texas Tech University and earning a BA in Business Management in 1975. Curtis recently completed a 35-year career in the structural steel industry, retiring in January of 2022. Understanding the importance of a trained workforce while working in the structural steel industry, Curtis volunteered with the TSTC Foundation for 12 years, serving as president of the foundation. This is the 7th year Curtis is serving on the TSTC Board of Regents. Most recently, he has served as the chair of the board in 2022. Curtis also serves on the Greater Waco Advanced Manufacturing Academy Executive Board to provide high school students with marketable skills for the workplace or the opportunity to continue their post-secondary education upon graduation. And on a personal note, Curtis and I share a unique interest. He and his wife enjoy spoiling their 5 grandchildren, just like Mel and I enjoy spoiling our grandchildren. His grandkids live in Tarrant County and in McLennan County. He raises Black Angus cattle. He plays golf and tennis and volunteers his time at St. Paul's Episcopal Church. Now that he has a bit more time as a retiree, though TSTC keeps him busy. And Madam Chair, I would recommend to the committee that we continue to keep him busy with the TSTC board and recommend his favorable consideration. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Birdwell. It means a lot coming from you, sir. Glad you're here today. Thank you, Mr. Cleveland. The chair now calls Senator Schwertner, who has Mr. James Benham, who's been reappointed to Texas Southern University Board of Regents. Mr. Benham, stand where you are. Thank you. Thank you so much. Hi. Senator Schwertner, if you'd like to introduce Mr. Benham.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair and members. Good morning and happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
It's my great honor to introduce a friend of mine and a current regent, James Benham of College Station, who's here for a nomination for reappointment to the Texas Southern University Board of Regents. And I certainly hope you all will consider giving him an affirmative vote. He's an Aggie, a double Aggie actually, graduating from Texas A&M from both his undergraduate and graduate degrees. He's a longtime resident of Bryan College Station, where he's an active member of the community. Originally appointed to the Texas Southern University Board of Regents in October of 2020, we have served as board secretary and chair of their Development and Legislative Affairs Committee. Regent Benham is the CEO of JB Knowledge, a 270-employee global insurance software company. He co-founded in 2001 with offices and staff in 4 countries. Prior to his appointment, James served for 5 years as adjunct professor of construction sciences at Texas A&M University and still serves as an alumni mentor for the Texas Aggie Corps cadets. Additionally, James served the city of College Station as a planning and zoning commissioner from 2011 to 2012 and was elected to 2 terms to the College Station City Council from 2012 to 2018, where he also served as mayor pro tem. Members, I fully support James Benham in this reappointment and ask that you will do so as well.
Thank
Thank
you.
y'all.
Thank you very much, Senator Swartner. Mr. Benham, just have a seat and we'll call you up later. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Stephen Alvis, who's been appointed to the Texas Transportation Commission, please stand where you are. And we recognize Chair Senator Kolkhorst to introduce Mr. Stephen Alvis.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Good
It's great to be
morning.
here in nominations this morning. And it's my pleasure to introduce my constituent from Waller County, Steve Allis, and recommend him to be appointed as a commissioner of the Texas Transportation Commission. Steve currently serves the state as the chair of the Texas Facilities Commission. He has been a commissioner there since 2017 and the chair since 2020. During his time at TFC, he has been known for making sure projects are on time and on budget, a practice that will be greatly valued at TxDOT. We're counting on you. In his private life, Steve is the co-founder and managing partner of NewQuest Properties, representing more than 75 national, regional, and local tenants throughout Texas. Having developed over 15 million square feet, NewQuest is the largest privately held shopping center developer in Texas. Because of his proven experience in public and private sectors, I trust that Mr. Alvis will lead our state transportation policy forward as we continue to build out and improve our road infrastructure here in Texas and keep all Texans moving. I'm proud to call Steve a friend, a constituent, and someone that I really look up to. His story of being at Texas A&M and kind of getting into real estate development is truly a self-made success, and I know that he will bring those talents and that acumen to the Texas Department of Transportation. We look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Senator Kolkhorst. And I know you've got meetings to head to, so thank you so much out of your busy schedule for coming here. Senator Flores. Have a seat wherever you would like. Mr. Richard Eastland, you stand where you are, sir. Good morning. Mr. Richard Eastland, who's been appointed to the Upper Guadalupe River Authority, is going to be introduced by Senator Flores. Good morning, Senator Flores.
Good morning, Madam Chair and committee members, and thank you for allowing me a brief moment to introduce a constituent of mine, Mr. Dick Eastland. Mr. Eastland and his wife Tweety live in Hunt, Texas, and Kerr County, where they own and run Camp Mystic, a faith-centered camp for girls. Mr. Eastland has dedicated much of his professional career to the success of youth camps, including spending almost 50 years at Camp Mystic. As a true servant to his community, Mr. Eastland will be a tremendous asset to the Upper Guadalupe River Authority. His knowledge of Kerr County will prove instrumental to the board, and I look forward to the committee's favorable consideration of Mr. Eastland's nomination.
Thank you, Senator Flores, very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Have a seat, Mr. Eastland. Yep, they're there. I want- Well, okay, Mr. Simmons, Brandon Simmons. Do you have, excellent, do you have Brandon? Hang on one second. Yes, Brandon. Brandon, go ahead and Vice Chair Sparks will introduce you. So if you go ahead and come up and have a seat at the table.
Yeah, it's my pleasure to introduce to you today Mr. Brandon Simmons on behalf of Senator Whitmire. Mr. Simmons is a resident of Houston and a constituent of Senator.
Let me enter.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No. I did recognize you.
Yep.
But I just want everyone to know that Mr. Simmons has been appointed to the Texas Southern University Board of Regents. So I want to make sure you know that going into.
Oh, sorry.
I don't think.
Okay. Yeah, he's a constituent of Senator Whitmire's. He was appointed on February 6, 2023 by the Governor Abbott to the Texas Southern University Board of Regents for a term to expire February 1st, 2029. He's a founder and chairman of Let Our Vision Evolve, a nonprofit organization educating college students and young professionals about private sector opportunities. He is also an investor and advisor to Game On Technologies, which provides chat. I am not technical enough to, is it Chat OS?
Yeah.
Thank you. Services globally to corporate customers and professional sports players, teams, and leagues. Mr. Simmons began his career as a law clerk for Chief Judge J.L. Edmondson of the U.S. Court of Appeals of the 11th Circuit and as an attorney at Hogan Lovells. He serves on the board of directors of Venus Aerospace, Space Perspective, and Polyspectra. He previously served on the boards of directors of Carbon Capture, Elevian Therapeutics, Unlimited Tomorrow, Noble AI, and is that Pica? He is a member of the California State Bar, District of Columbia Bar, and Young Presidents Organization. Additionally, he is a board member of the Institute for Responsible Citizenship and advisor for the Texas International Lawyers Society and the Urban League. Mr. Simmons received a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science from the University of California, Berkeley, and a Juris Doctorate from Stanford Law School. Welcome, Mr. Simmons. Sounds like you have a full plate. You've been very busy. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. Mr. Simmons, we'll give you a couple of minutes to introduce yourself also. And just before you start talking, let the record show that Senators Eckhart and Senators LaMantia have joined us this morning. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Mr. Simmons.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Senators. Thank you, Senator Sparks, for that introduction. My name is Brandon Simmons, and I've been appointed to the Texas Southern University Board of Regents. I feel so honored and blessed to sit in this chair in your committee room this morning. I'm here in this seat because of the power of education and economic opportunity. And I want to help the Texas taxpayers ensure that power is delivered to TSU students. I know that power firsthand from my family journey. My dad, Carl Simmons, grew up poor in Fifth Ward. When he started college after the Marines, he was told that he was illiterate. After college, he became a high school calculus teacher, married a kindergarten teacher, and raised two sons who attended schools including Stanford and Morehouse. One generation since my dad left Fifth Ward in search of a better life and better opportunities, I'm here with you, asking you for an opportunity to serve. I'm an entrepreneur, venture capital investor, and corporate board member. My wife, who's with me today, is a professor at U of H Law School, and our two sons are proud sixth-generation Texans. I believe that I'm called to help others make the same journey from poverty to private sector success that I've made. And I'd be grateful for the opportunity to bring that calling to serving TSU students and Texas taxpayers. Thank you. Happy to answer any questions.
Excellent, very much. And I would tell you that Senator Whitmire wanted to be here, most certainly. As you can imagine, he's busy not only here, but back home. But he really supports your nomination, members, so I just want to let you know that.
Thank you.
Members, questions? Senator Miles.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I, too, want to say how happy and delighted I am to support Brandon Simmons' nomination to Texas Southern Board, Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
I've had the pleasure of knowing him for some time now, and I can tell you he's exactly the breath of fresh air that Texas Southern University's board needs. He knows how to build coalitions. He knows how to bring people together for the sake of education. He believes in education, as he explained in his opening. And not only that, Senators, he knows how to bring people together to raise money. He and I are already working on some deals as we speak here, as we sit here, and he hasn't even been confirmed yet, to bring additional resources into Texas Southern, financial resources into Texas Southern, that they desperately need to continue to have success at Texas Southern. We've had some problems over the past years, Madam Chair, you and I have discussed in the past. But board members like Brandon Simmons is exactly what the doctors ordered for the repair of Texas Southern University. So I'm excited that you're here, my friend. I'm excited that you brought along your wife. And I just can't imagine what the future is going to look like for the students at Texas Southern and Texas Southern Institution with you and your other colleagues sitting next to you, Brenham, at the helm of Texas Southern University. And I want you to know that I support both of you, but definitely you, my friend, so that we could do something in Texas Southern that's needed to be done for a long time, and that's to bring additional resources and tap into revenue sources, as well as make sure that the education of the students is put first and forehand, as you and I have talked about in the past. So, Madam Chair, I'm elated. I'm excited, if you can't tell, about the appointment of Mr. Brandon Simmons to Texas Southern University. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Miles. Well, I don't think any of us can doubt whether you have reservations or not.
No, I don't have any reservations on this one.
Very good. Well, Mr. Simmons, it was wonderful to get to meet you. We had a discussion, and I too came from very humble beginnings. I like how you said that I think I may have got the words wrong, but you want to see or help those go from poverty to prosperity, or you may have used a different word. I don't think I caught that. What was the line?
I was describing my own story as poverty to private sector success.
Private sector success. That's more descriptive and very good. Thank you. Well, please share with us how your background in business and entrepreneurship brings that strength to the board that Senator Miles has talked about, that is, I agree 100%, so badly needed.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair, for that question, and thank you, Senator, for that wonderful supporting statement you made as well. So in terms of kind of private sector lessons that I think can be valuable in coming to this board, one thing, working in as the Vice Chair gave my introduction, a number of those are kind of early stage, rapidly growing companies. That's where a lot of my experience has been. And in that setting, it's crucially important to be able to grow quickly and change quickly. And I think both of those are important needs for a university, and particularly this university. So there's kind of two methodologies that I think of. One is what I would call measure what matters. And this is something actually that Regent Benham has already begun to implement that I feel very excited to support him on. And this is the concept there that there are a handful of key metrics that really matter in any organization, and that a board and leadership in the organization need to be aligned on what those key metrics are and measure them and adjust strategy as needed to ensure those key metrics continue to improve. And that's really the core of all that matters. And that's the only way that you can rapidly pivot or rapidly change in an organization based on my experience. And so I'm thrilled to see that Regent Benham has actually already started implementing that method, and I'm excited to support him in that. That would be one example. Happy to share others.
Perfect. Members, any other questions for him? Senator Sparks.
Yeah, this is not as much a question as it is a statement. We had the opportunity to visit last week, and part of our conversation kind of centered around this idea that, we're trying to help students or young people figure out what their skill sets are, and so that they can have a better chance. What we don't need is more people just doing jobs, right? We want people that will feel fulfilled in whatever career that they choose to accept. And so we shared that commonality in our discussion of longing to try and help young people really understand what they were gifted to do. So thank you.
Thank you.
And I think, too, Mr. Simmons, Senator Miles hit on it. How can a university board member be an asset beyond just your role in governance on the board?
That's a great question. Thank you so much for that question, Madam Chair. I think, first and foremost, of course, a board member's duty is to be a board member, and that can never be forgotten. So that's the key and core to the role. I also think that there are things a board member can do beyond that when properly coordinated with leadership, of course, because board members need to coordinate any activities outside of being a board member with leadership. But that said, I'm feeling very excited about having a season where I can really pour a lot of my time into the university. And so one example is something actually that Senator Miles mentioned, and this is, I think that there can be some extraordinary partnership opportunities for the university with large technology companies, large energy companies, and it'd be very exciting for me to partner with the right members of the leadership team in helping to deliver those sorts of partnerships to the university.
Thank you. Members, any other questions or comments? Hearing none. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair and Senators. Would be really honored for your support in serving.
Yes. You're welcome. The chair now calls up Ms. Beth Madison. Ms. Madison has been reappointed by the governor to the University of Houston System Board of Regents. Good morning. And again, Senator Whitmire wishes he could be here, most certainly, but I've asked Senator Sparks, our vice chair, if he would introduce you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Beth Madison is a resident of Houston and a constituent of Senator Whitmire's. Ms. Madison was appointed to the University of Houston System Board of Regents by Governor Greg Abbott in 2015 for a second 6-year term that expired on August 31st of 2021. She was reappointed by the governor for a third 6-year term in October 2021 and will serve through August 31st of 2027. In 1983, she founded Madison Benefits Group, Inc., which in 2008 became a wholly owned subsidiary of Higginbotham, a commercial risk management and insurance firm. Ms. Madison is active in Houston philanthropic activities, serving as trustee of Madison Charitable Foundation, past chairman of the Houston World Affairs Council, senior chairman of the Houston Grand Opera, secretary for the board of Alley Theater, and secretary for the Rice Shepherd School of Music Society. She has served on the boards for the Houston Symphony, Trees for Houston, Preservation Houston, and the advisory boards for Baylor College of Medicine, Teen Clinic, and the Baylor Partnership. She's been recognized for her services by ABC 13 as a Woman of Distinction in 2011 and named Ambassador in 2014. She received the Community Pillar Award in 2012 from Preservation Houston and was named a Visionary Leader by the Houston Symphony in 2012. She was inducted into the Greater Houston Women's Chamber of Commerce Hall of Fame in 2013. You too have been very active. Ms. Madison received a Bachelor of Arts from the University of Houston and has been active in supporting the business, music, athletic, and engineering schools. She was awarded the President's Medallion and named Distinguished Alumni of 2010. Welcome, Ms. Madison. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Well, it was wonderful to meet you, Miss Madison. Most certainly, You've got a couple of minutes to introduce yourself to the committee, and then we'll ask you a few questions.
Thank
For
you.
being here.
Madam Chairman, and all the senators for your service and your time to our community and the amazing support that you have given to the University of Houston. It has truly been one of the greatest honors of my life to have a role in an organization that's so important to our community. I do have a BA in sociology from the University of Houston, and one of the first things you learn is that the pillars of civilization are our universities, art, music. This is how we all make a world that we want to live in and be a part of. And certainly the University of Houston, and it's well known that we have an amazing chancellor of some 14 years, Chancellor Renu Khator, who came to Houston and took a look at the city and tried to identify what the distinguishing characteristics were. And she determined that its energy, world-class medical center, and an amazingly vibrant cultural arts, and decided to serve that community. And it's clear to you now, as we have become a Tier 1 research university and have nationally ranked programs in our College of Engineering, that she meant to do justice to the economy. The medical school, even though we have one of the greatest medical centers in the world, nonetheless, we have underserved areas in the city. And important to all of us is that more than half of our medical bills really go for routine chronic illness. And we need more research and understanding in how we can treat those chronic conditions. And we need to start in these areas where the decision to get that care may be colored by the lack of financial resources. And if we can target those areas,
Go ahead
we're
and
grateful.
finish, please.
I just would beg to add that her third area was the cultural arts, and that's my passion, and I think the role that I served the best on the board. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, I can tell you, members, it was a pleasure to meet Ms. Madison. And you've been on the board now since 2013.
Yes, ma'am.
So you've been there and
I'm
watched.
getting the hang of it.
Getting the hang of it. Well, you must be doing a great job, or most certainly our great Governor Abbott wouldn't reappoint you. So with that, during your time on the board as a regent, what academic, and you were touching on the branches of it, but what other areas have you been involved in? What's the strength that you bring, which some was described in your introduction?
The first assignment that the chancellor gave me was that she was appreciating the enormous and noteworthy collection of public art that's on our campus since 1966. The Board of Regents approved a percentage of new construction for all new buildings to the acquisition of public art. And it's a wonderful collection, and it's appreciated by most of the people on campus, but she asked me to work with the Vice Chancellor of Administration and Vice Chancellor of Development and how we put the public in the art collection. And we visited campuses around the country for how you can really make these centers of art real places of resource and gathering places for our students. And with our wonderful benefactors, the Cullen sisters, we developed the Wilhelmina Grove, which is an area in the middle of all of our arts buildings where today we have a collection of art in this garden around the Grove, but it's also an area big enough for students to gather and have a study area. It's large enough for a big tent where we have events there and receptions, and students can appreciate the art. It's a very robust program for bringing students onto the campus, and other visitors from the arts community come to the campus. We have now collaborations that are really quite astounding. We just partnered with Madison Square Park in New York, and an exhibit started there, and will come to Houston, to our campus, and be on our campus this fall
Thank you.
for a number of months. And I could go on beyond my time with examples of ways that we have integrated our public art program with the community at large, and this is part of the mission and the mantra of our chancellor, is that we are part of the community, we serve the community, we integrate all of our arts programs. Our engineering programs are really developed in concert with corporations and partnerships, and the medical school is obviously one that's meant to complement the services that are already there. So we take very strongly our responsibility for the community.
Thank you very much. You do bring a lot of strength to the board. I can see you do bring a lot of strength to the board, and I can
Bring a
see
lot
why.
of enthusiasm.
Yes. and bringing students in contact with the community in a cultural way. Members, any other questions or comments? Senator Miles.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, being from Houston members, I'm aware and familiar with Mrs. Madison's work and her commitment to service of Houston and to the commitment of the city of Houston to all, and the key word there, Madam Chair, is to all the citizens of Houston. And I want to commend you for that, and I want to say, Ms. Madison, it is truly an honor for the University of Houston to have you serving as a Board of Regent at Texas, at University of Houston. And I think it's a fantastic opportunity for us to get you back again, and for your continued service and commitment to all the citizens of the University of Houston campus, as well as the city of Houston. So thank you. Thank you very much for your commitment. Thank you.
I'm humbled and grateful for those comments. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Senator Miles. Members, any other comments or questions? If not, thank you very much, Regent Madison. Now the chair calls up Mr. James Benham, who has been reappointed to the Texas Southern University Board of Regents. Mr. Benham, you have 2 minutes for any opening comments. It was very nice to meet you in the office. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Campbell, Vice Chair Sparks, members of the committee. Really do appreciate your time, and thank you for your time, Senator Campbell. It's been an honor to serve this great university and to make so many new friends. It's been really amazing. My name is James Benham from the beautiful College Station, Texas. I've been appointed to continue my service as a regent at Texas Southern University. I was actually born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Loved being a native Louisianian. My father served the city of Baton Rouge as a metro councilman and then various other political appointments. And I greatly benefited from a HBCU, another one, Southern University in Baton Rouge, who sponsored my public high school and provided high-speed internet in 1993 that lit my spark of technology and innovation and actually led to the formation of my business. Myself and my co-founder both went to that high school, and that program would not have happened without an HBCU sponsoring us. I came to Texas in 1997 to attend Texas A&M and joined the Corps of Cadets, which completely changed my life. I, in the process, fell in love with this great state and vowed that I would never leave. Started my current company of 22 years in my dorm room at A&M, and I still run it today. We've got about 280 employees. We build software for some of the largest insurance companies in the world, and really enjoy being headquartered in Texas. After I served my city on Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council, I was appointed to TSU Board of Regents in 2020 and have fallen in love with the school and the students. Texas Southern has served a critical role in educating and serving the underserved since its formation as a junior college in 1927 and its conversion to a state university in 1947. To serve Texas Southern requires that you learn the history of Texas Southern and learn the history of this state and its interaction with the school and the critical role that we serve to our students who for many years would not have been served anywhere else. It's been a pleasure to serve, and I ask that you consider reappointing me.
Right on time. There you go. Well, again, it was a pleasure to meet you. Members, are there any comments or questions? Senator Miles?
Thanks once again, Madam Chair and members. I've please forgive me for, it seems like I'm taking over this committee meeting this morning, but we've got several, and Mr. Benham is also one of them, to come to Texas Southern University. He and I have met some time ago, prior to his confirmation, his first confirmation. Madam Chair, members, I can tell you that this man is single-handedly changing the face of Texas Southern University. He's a fantastic appointment. We're happy to have him coming back. And when I tell you that the university itself is excited, the administration, the students, he actually gets involved with the students through the aviation department and the aviation program, and they're all excited of his presence on Texas Southern as a board member. You would think that he's got nothing else to do but be on campus all the way from College Station, but no. I'm excited about having him, Madam Chair, members. These are the kind of appointments that we need at Texas Southern University to make a difference and turn things around. We're in the process of making a change, and I think we're working on some new signage and some new sayings that the new Texas Southern. And I want to commend Mr. Benham for all of his hard work and his commitment to the entire university and to the city of Houston for the work that he's done and will continue to do. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for putting up with me this morning, members. It's an exciting day at Texas Southern and University of Houston.
Thank you.
So thank you all.
Well, with that, I will say, Senator Miles, we know that you have such a strong interest in helping Texas Southern University become the best that it can be.
Just the best.
So you knowing, folks, that the governor is appointing and your endorsement, well, certainly your endorsement of those that have been brought before us means a lot. So no, you haven't hijacked the committee. I've got a big gavel to prevent that. But your input is very important and has been, so we appreciate that. Mr. Benham, I really liked what Mr. Simmons had to say when he agreed with you that what matters is measured, or you measure what matters, whichever direction that's supposed to go. But can you discuss some of the key metrics that he was referring to, and Senator Miles has endorsed your strength to bring these metrics to pass for the strength of Texas?
Yes, absolutely. We'd happy to. There are metrics that are judged across all universities, and certainly 4-year and 6-year graduation rates are an important measure. They're not the only measure of a school. We have professional schools and programs that have done quite well. I want to note that our pharmacy program is the second in the entire state of Texas, just number 2 out of all of them. We have an incredible aviation program. We really have great programs. So the 4-year and 6-year rate is something that certainly we are very focused on. We know that's what the state looks at. We know that what federal rankings look at. We know it's also an important measure of whether or not we're helping our students succeed. If a student does not graduate and get a job that's better than what they could have gotten before they came to our university, we have failed them. It is really simple. I mean, I am a software developer. Things are binary in my world at some level. Our job is to upgrade our students, and we don't do that unless they graduate, and we don't do that unless they graduate and get a job that pays better than the one they could have gotten without a degree. So I am very fixated. We established a few measures internally, and I will say as a board, we talk about the brutal facts that we face every day. We do not hide them. We do not bury them. In our board meeting this past week, we started by talking about our 4-year and 6-year rates and what we're doing to fix them. Certainly, we look at enrollment. Enrollment's an important measure, and freshman progression and persistence. That's where it starts. That's a number we can impact every single year, is how many freshmen that we keep. Our students, over 80% of them are Pell Grant eligible. They do not have money. Many of them come from single-parent households without parents that have the time to push them. I spend a lot of time on campus. I do. I love my students. My favorite thing I've ever done in my entire career is teach as an adjunct for 5 years. I love being in the classroom, and I gave that up to serve on this board, but my students often have 2 or 3 jobs, and so they don't have the support network that I had with 2 parents coming at Texas A&M. They don't have that. And so one of the key things to really support those metrics is intrusive advising, providing the support structure that they need to keep them motivated to stay in school beyond their first year. The majority of our drop-off happens year one. You know, the Christmas between their freshman, fall and spring semester, and over the summer when they come back, that's the biggest issue. And so that's really where we can and are paying a lot of attention to intrusive advising programs, living and learning communities, programs that provide our students the support structure that they need to move on in life and get a degree and get a great job. So that's why, and of course, I look at career placement rate. I want them to get jobs. I mean, I'm an employer in the state. I want them to get jobs and good jobs. And I want them to go start businesses and be entrepreneurs. So those are the measures that we really look at. And I look at them every day. I've got access to all the dashboards that our university produces. I am very fixated on them.
Okay, thank you. And just very quickly, you know, we hear always, we expect a 4-year program when you go into college. Describe the 6-year. What's the 6-year pathway, the 6-year program?
Well, no, I mean, universities are measured on 4-year and 6-year graduation rates, right? A lot of our students take longer. They take longer because they're carrying a full load plus 2 jobs. And it's a commuter school, and they have life events that occur, and you name it, it happens to them. And so a lot of our students do take longer than 4 years to graduate because they don't get to be like I was a full-time dedicated student. You know, you say in university, you say 15 by 8 equals graduate, because if you take 15 hours a semester for 8 semesters, you can get out in 4 years. That's not an option for a lot of our students. And so we are certainly focused, if we can't get them out in 4 years, get them out in 6. Of course, some of the major initiatives we're running right now is helping people come back and finish their degrees. That's our College of Transdisciplinary Studies, where we actually bring them in, take some credit that they've already done. It's been really interesting to recruit people to come and finish degrees. What Texas needs, if you haven't seen it, I'm an employer here. We need qualified talent badly. And we need qualified talent of all races, creeds, and colors. And the way to produce that talent is to recognize that not all of our students are traditional students. We can bring back a 35-year-old who finished 80 credit hours, and we can finish his degree, and we can do it really well. And we can provide a place that he feels or she feels comfortable. And that's another thing that I've really had to acknowledge at an HBCU is we provide a community and an environment that our students don't often feel at at mainstream institutions. I've had the experience now after 2.5 years of being different in the room, and I can say that the community at Texas Southern has been incredibly welcoming to me and helping me understand the challenges that they face and the critical role that HBCUs play in allowing students to feel included, to feel like they're part of people that are like them, that are there for their success. And it's been a really incredible, eye-opening experience to see the role they still have to serve.
Thank you very much. And members, when he uses the acronym HBCU, that stands for Historically Black College University.
Yes.
So just to know that.
Thank you.
Let the chair, or the chair wants to recognize Senator Hughes, who's joined us. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Mr. Bennett. Good job.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you. The chair now calls up Mr. Stephen Alvis, who's been appointed to the Texas Transportation Committee. Please have a seat at the table. It was wonderful meeting you the other day. Thank you so much. All right, Mr. Alvis, if you want to take a couple of minutes to introduce yourself to the committee.
Yeah, Chairman, thank you. Senators, for taking this time for my consideration to serve this great state of Texas. I appreciate meeting some of you earlier. Thank you, Chairman, specifically for your time. The thing that hits me most about being able to serve at the transportation level and the infrastructure is giving back to the Texans their time. Today, as you know, specifically here in Austin, getting from the suburb into town take a long time. I know you all hire employees that say, oh my goodness, I'm in traffic an hour plus both ways. And so to be able to take my skill set, serve with the balance of the commissioners and 13,000 employees, at TxDOT to give people back their time is certainly a great reason why I serve. Having developed my company and built projects all over the state of Texas, I had to learn to solve problems. I had to learn to meet deadlines with construction. I had to learn to make sure they were on budget. So that, I think, makes me uniquely positioned to serve this great state of Texas at Texas Department of Public Safety.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions? I will say that, you mentioned your skill set and what you bring forward. Your most recent tenure that you're giving up or to be on the Texas Transportation Commission was that you served as chairman of the Texas Facilities Commission. Can you share with the committee how the strength you brought to that transitions and gives you strength still for the Texas Transportation Commission?
Well, Chairman, thank you. That's a great question. I'm very proud of my service at TFC. When I first came into TFC, I recognized there needed to be transformational change, and that we implemented. Many of the top lieutenants, if you will, at TFC did not have a lot of development experience in real estate. And as you know, your body gave a tremendous amount of money to TFC to build the Capitol Complex, the North Austin Complex, and most lately the border wall. All very complicated projects. And so transformation is what we needed, and I think transformation is what we've achieved. I was fortunate for Governor Abbott to appoint me chairman in 2020 there. We started the Capitol Complex, and phase one was $600 million. You can imagine having COVID hit you in the middle of that. How many sleepless nights I had when I knew we were excavating Congress Street near the Capitol 8 stories deep. I think it was 580,000 cubic yards of material we took out of there. Fortunately, through the skill sets I learned in the private sector, we brought those to TFC, and I'm proud to say we finished that project on time and on budget. And I think the team we have at TFC that I'll be leaving, as you know, we broke ground on phase two just a few days ago, and I think they'll do the same with phase two. The border wall was much more complex. That agency had never seen anything like that before. When the governor sent that letter over to me and said, "You'll build it," we started from scratch. You might imagine on 1,250 miles, and the Corps of Engineers gives you absolutely nothing in your FOIA request that occurs every single month for 2 years. From title data to geotechnical data to environmental data to structural to engineering to all of the things that it takes to acquire a perpetual easement to build this wall, we had to recreate. And I'm happy to say those dollars that you all put on us to build that wall are fully encumbered, and 5 projects are under construction as we speak there. So I'm very, very proud of that, Chairman.
Very good. Where did the materials that you excavated out for the project, where did they go? What do you do with them? How do you recycle them?
It's a great
It has nothing to do really with the Texas Transportation Commission.
Great, it was Ranger excavation.
Good,
It was great material for fill for other sites. It's funny in the construction business. When you have to buy dirt, it costs you a fortune. When you have to get rid of dirt, it costs you a fortune. It shouldn't be that way.
Shouldn't be that way. No, you're right.
Yeah, but it was good material, and we only had one oddity. I thought, oh my gosh, we're going to dig up antiquities and graves and you name it this close to the Capitol. We had one storm sewer that had a sanitary sewer running right through the middle of it. It's the only oddity we had in that excavation.
Thank you. All right. Members, any questions? If not, thank you, Mr. Alvis. Look forward to your confirmation.
Thank you, and I certainly appreciate, Chairman, your support, and certainly appreciate all of your Senate report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The chair now calls up Mr. Richard Eastland. Mr. Richard Eastland, who's been appointed to the Upper Guadalupe River Authority. Please have a seat at the table. You're a busy man, didn't get the opportunity to meet you between both of our schedules, so thank you for being here today.
Good morning.
You've got a couple of minutes if you would, just introduce yourself. I know Senator Flores was here, we appreciated him taking the time to introduce you, but let the committee know a little bit about you.
Yes. Good morning, Chair Campbell and members of the nominating committee. I'm Dick Eastland and was appointed by Governor Abbott, the Board of Directors of the Upper Guadalupe River Authority in last August. Thank you for inviting me to speak today. I appreciate it. And wanted to share a few remarks about living in Hunt, Texas. It's such a beautiful spot, right at the close to the headwaters of the Guadalupe River, and it's certainly a beautiful area, and a big part of our summer camp is the attraction of that gorgeous river. And I'm the newest member of the UJRA board. I was appointed to fill a vacancy of someone who had to leave out of Kerr County. And I've enjoyed serving with my fellow board members and fulfill a role as steward of the Upper Guadalupe River in Kerr County. I joined the UJRA board during the recent Sunset review, and the review was very thorough, and our board and management staff viewed all the process and opportunities, take a fresh look at all of our systems and the programs to improve them to benefit the people of Kerr County. To date, the staff has implemented several of the recommendations of the Sunset Committee report, and they provide routine updates to the board on implementation. The mission of the UJRA is to protect the health of the Guadalupe River, the watershed of Kerr County, by managing the water quality and quantity, promoting stewardship, provide services and support to our communities. Guadalupe is extremely important.
Go ahead and finish your thoughts,
Okay.
sir.
To our community and our family, and I'm honored to serve my fellow board members and fulfill this mission. Thank you for my consideration, my appointment to UJRA board, and happy to answer any questions you may.
Thank you, Mr. Eastland. You did mention Sunset,
Yes,
and that the majority of UGRA's, let's see, you have 3.4 million reserve fund, is that
Yes.
correct?
yes.
But it really doesn't have a dedicated purpose, is that right?
Well, we have, I think at the very last meeting we had structure to have some designated for certain areas and some undesignated for projects. And
So Sunset did recommend or wanted to see how y'all would have the authority in changing what policies are affecting that reserve fund, is that correct?
That's correct.
The response. And so what is the River Authority doing to address this proportion?
Well, what we're doing primarily is we're let me just go.
And I realize
real
you're new.
Quickly,
Just
I'm
been-
new.
just
I'm
been
trying
there.
to learn more about it. But here's the thing. UJRA has reviewed the above funding policy.
Talking to your mic a little bit
I'm
closer,
sorry.
or pull it toward you.
Okay.
That would make it more comfortable.
Okay. And one thing we're trying to avoid is any conflicts of interest. And the staff has developed a formal document with contractor performance and best practices involved with contracting, and the guidelines for classification of each fund balance too. The board annually does an annual review of where they are, and The UJRA's ad valorem tax rate and other revenue sources are necessary to ensure the UJRA does not collect revenues in excess of the fund target balances specified by the Board of Directors.
Okay. Members, any other questions? Thank you. I realize new and looking at the sunset recommendations, especially when it comes to directives about a fund, is a work in progress in learning about that. So,
Yes.
but I, would expect obviously the River Authority to address those concerns by sunset,
Yes.
recommended by sunset. All right. Well, members, no other questions. Thank you so much, Mr. Eastland.
Thank you so much.
For joining us today. The chair now calls up Mr. Curtis Cleveland. Mr. Cleveland has been reappointed to Texas State Technical College System Board of Regents. This was Senator Birdwell's introduction. Mr. Cleveland, you have 2 minutes. It's good to see you.
Thank you.
For any opening comments.
Thank you, Madam
You're
Chair,
welcome.
members of the committee. My passion to my community is workforce development. And I have been involved in workforce development opportunities in my community for 35 years. And TSTC's always been a part of that. Senator Sparks touched upon a point I totally agree with earlier. He said that the best opportunity we have as members of all of our communities to lift our children out of poverty is to teach them a skill. We're doing that at TSTC. We have 10 campuses. We have opportunities to train students in 2 years, which means that most of them can graduate literally with no debt. And the majority of our graduates have a job waiting for them when they graduate. And so as a state, we need these people. We need these skills. And back to my passion, I totally believe that we can lift all of our children who are currently living in poverty by teaching them a skill.
Very good. Can you talk about some of the top programs that students are currently earning degrees in?
Yes, thank you. And our programs vary from areas of the state. We have 10 campuses in West Texas and South Texas, Harlingen and the Abilene area. We have programs in nursing and dental hygiene. All of those graduates have jobs waiting for them.
Go ahead. Sorry, I asked you a question. We should have turned that off.
Okay.
Don't let that stop you.
It's amazing all of the skill needs that we have as a state. Electrical line workers are, keeping our power on. Surgical instrumentation, keeping all the surgical instruments in every single medical facility in the state. Diesel equipment, mechatronics. That's a word you may not know. That's robotics. Our students keep robots operational. Precision machining, automation and controls, that's instrumentation. And if you think about every single refinery, chemical plant, manufacturing facility, anywhere in the state of Texas, those facilities are operated by equipment that have somebody keeping those instruments going. Now, the danger or that we have as a state is most of those instrumentation folks in all those facilities are my age. They're baby boomers. They're retiring. And that's an area that has got a tremendous job opportunity for students all across the state in all of our facilities across the state. Biomedical equipment, instrumentation technology is an area that our students graduate with, and then industrial systems. In the layman's terms for industrial systems is plant maintenance. So every one of us have got manufacturing plants, and production plants in our communities. Somebody's keeping those things going. And that is a skill set that TSTC teaches.
And that's important, and the programs that you listed, as well as more that y'all are expanding to, are very, very important. You don't have funding for TSTC. You don't have a tax base. Can you tell the committee how the system is funded?
That's a great
A little
question. Thank you
different
for
than-
that question. We take the monies that the legislature approves out of each session, and then we plan ahead for new projects. And in the last session 2 years ago, $200 million was allocated for new construction, and so we're currently either designing or starting construction on 6 new teaching facilities across the state. And our challenge is twofold. One, we all need to look ahead to see what skill sets we're going to need for the future. And I'll give you a very simple one. Water. Water is critical to the state of Texas. How are we going to keep clean water, not only for personal consumption, but we have manufacturing companies that produce beer, they produce soft drinks. We have manufacturing companies that use water. Samsung was on TSTC's campus just 10 days ago. They're a tremendous water user. Somebody has to keep that water pure, clarified, and in adequate amounts to use for the future. And so we constantly need to look ahead with all the organizations that work in education to identify the skill sets of the future. And then we have to build facilities to teach those classes.
All right. Thank you. Senator Sparks, Vice Chair Sparks.
Yeah, thank you for being here today. How are we going about promoting y'all's services? So how does a high school student find out about what you guys do?
Well, one of my other passions in Waco, which is where I'm from, is we have opened a manufacturing academy that starts offering opportunities for technical skills in the 8th grade. And it's called the Greater Waco Advanced Manufacturing Academy, GWAMA. And we're hoping that we can encourage that type of, I'm going to use the word exposure, but introduction to technical skill sets in the 8th and 9th grade. And then when a student graduates from GWAMA, and our graduation is coming up in 3 weeks, some of those students already have a skill set they can go to work, and my former company is going to hire some of those students, and then other ones keep furthering their education and going to TSTC.
Are there other schools like that around the state?
There are. There's some examples in San Antonio, I know. I think that there are smaller smaller programs that are beginning to be developed in independent school districts, and it's something that I think we as a state should promote statewide to start this opportunity in the 8th and 9th grade, and then add on whatever skill set they need to either go to work or to getting one of these complicated degrees at TSTC.
I can tell you, I for one, and kind of touched on this earlier, the earlier we can help our young people identify what they've been gifted to do, the better chance we have of, one, getting them all the way through whatever education they're going to receive, and better prepare them for, a career that will allow them to flourish. So if you have some thoughts about how we continue to expand that into our public education, I'd love to have that conversation with you.
Okay, glad to, Senator.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice Chair Sparks. Members, any other questions? Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Cleveland. It's wonderful
Thank
to
you for the
talk with you.
consideration.
Yes, absolutely. The chair now calls Mr. Robert Gant. Mr. Robert Gant, who has been appointed to the University of Texas System Board of Regents, to come forward. Have a seat at the table. The chair recognizes Senator Eckhart to introduce Mr. Gant, appointed to the University of Texas System Board of Regents.
Thank you so much,
Good
Chair
morning.
Campbell, and thank you, members. It is my honor to introduce to you Mr. Robert Gant, Governor Abbott's University of Texas System Board of Regents nominee. Mr. Gant received a Master's of Business Administration and Bachelor of Business Administration from the University of Texas at Austin. Mr. Gant is a founding partner at Capitol Creek Partners, a Texas-based multifamily and investment firm, and previously served as founding partner at Avalon Advisors. Prior to founding Avalon Advisors, Mr. Gant held a variety of wealth management roles at Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, and Payne Webber. Mr. Gant is also a co-founder of Capstar Ventures in Austin, an early-stage venture capital firm investing in consumer brands. Mr. Gant is currently a trustee for the University of Texas, Texas A&M Investment Management Company, UTIMCO, sitting on the Compensation Committee and Risk Committee and Cyber Committee. He also sits on the board for the Contemporary Austin, RBI Austin, and Hope Mozambique. He was recently appointed by Governor Abbott to serve on the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. Thank you so much for being here, Mr. Gant.
Thank you, Senator Eckhart. Appreciate that. Thank you, Madam Chair and
You've
and
got a
Senators.
couple of minutes, Mr. Gant. Thank you for being here.
I will go quick. I don't like talking about myself, so this is a little uncomfortable, but
But please know that
Yeah.
you're letting us know
Absolutely.
about you. So
Yes, ma'am.
please take comfort in
Yes, ma'am.
Our thousands of
and,
television.
right, and as Senator Springer said, and we're just all watching.
Well, at first I want to thank my family for being here. My wife of 36 years as of tomorrow, my son Travis, son Tyler, his wife Jordan, and then a UT graduate, Jerry Osborne, who is my wife's stepfather in 1969. Frank Irwin signed his certificate. So I am I am honored, humbled, incredibly excited to be here, and I have served the teachers of our great state at the TRS, Teachers Retirement System, the funds at UTIMCO, now the Higher Ed Coordinating Board. I grew up in Fort Worth, Texas, a poor family, thinking I was going to play professional baseball. Came to the University of Texas. My graduating class at Arlington Heights, half of the students went to college. So I saw firsthand the power and the importance of an education. Ended up at UT. My grandfather, and I went to play baseball and found out pretty quickly that I did not have a pro career. But my grandfather preached the importance of education. He was an orphan from South Texas, ended up at OU getting a scholarship. And then I went into the investment profession and did 3 tours of duty in New York, but spent 57 years in Texas. And I was in Senator Miles' great city of Houston. And I've always been a champion for the less fortunate. And we didn't get to talk about this, but I was involved in Yellowstone Academy in the 5th Ward. Provision, Roy Nell Young started that. I was on the board for a decade, and I'm currently involved with RBI Austin here, which is on the east side of Austin, helping inner city kids, about 1,600 right now. And so I'm very passionate about education. I'm very passionate about making sure there's available funds and accessibility to students throughout our great state.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, most certainly with you serving on the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board brings a wealth of information to the board and then the other boards that you've served on. Can you briefly, bring the knowledge you have from the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, can you just briefly tell the committee what that board is that you're leaving, but what that board does and how the knowledge you have and experience you have being on that board will help for University of Texas as a regent for the University of Texas.
Yeah, it's been a steep learning curve when I joined, but effectively we sit between the funds appropriated and the university systems and the community college, which there are 50 in our state. And I think a couple of the accomplishments that I've watched have been around the 60 by 30. So that's 60% of Texans between the ages of 25 and 64 would have a post-secondary degree by 2030. Right now, we have about 48%, so we're working very hard to get that up. Also, getting the data to be able to determine how much debt students are graduating with, and the goal is that 90% of students will graduate with no debt. And which is really important. And the other thing is the affordability for students. And one of the things that I have conviction about is that money shouldn't be a deterrent for a Texas kid who wants an education. So it's very important that we continue to provide help and various grants, Pell Grants and such. And so I would say the sitting between, and the last thing, Madam Chair, is retooling the community colleges to make sure they're relevant for the current workforce. So there's been a lot of work between the community colleges sitting down with local employers of what's needed, as opposed to maybe what was traditional, but making sure we stay relevant on educating our students.
Very good. Well, I know it was expensive when I went to college, and I had to work to pay for it and then work to pay my debt off. So, and it's even gotten more expensive now. That was a few years back. So with that, thank you. Members, other questions? Senator Miles.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, members. Mr. Gant, when was the last time you were active with Roynell in Provision?
Oh, so I moved to Austin in 2017, and I was off the Provision Board probably 5 to 7 years before
So
that.
I was one of the first members on the Provision Board.
Okay. Alan Hasenflew is how I got involved.
Yeah, it's no longer an all-boys school. It's now co-ed, and
Good.
it's grown tremendously. And then we're also providing housing
Good.
right next door on the same property now.
It's a great property.
They've got a great aquatic farming program.
Yes, sir.
That's going on to feed the local communities. Aquatic farming, members, which it's amazing. It's something I'm very proud to be one of the first board members of Provision. Roynell's a personal friend.
That's great.
Doing quite well.
Good.
So anytime you're ready to come back, we'd love to have you back. I'm happy to hear that you're moving on to the University of Texas. We could use some of your wisdom and your insight on how to be inclusive on all things. So congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
And beautiful family.
Thank you. Very blessed.
Thank you very much. Members, any other questions? Okay, Mr. Gant, thank you very much for joining
Thank you,
us.
Madam Chair.
And
Thank you, Senators. Thank you for the opportunity, and I look forward to serving.
we look forward to you serving
Thank you.
and the success that you're going to bring to the board. The chair now calls up Mr. Timothy Culp, who's been appointed to the Texas Tech University System Board of Regents. Have a seat at the table. Members, this is my alma mater from medical school, and I see that you may not know it, but our chancellor from Texas Tech, Chancellor Ted Mitchell, is here with you, supporting you. So
ma'am.
that's a great statement on its own. But Mr. Culp, I'm going to ask Vice Chair Sparks to introduce you, and we'll ask you questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I might say, as a fellow West Texan, possibly saving the best for last today, it is my honor this morning to introduce Mr. Tim Culp to the committee for consideration of his appointment to the Texas Tech University Board of Regents. Thank you for being here. Mr. Culp graduated from Texas Tech University in 1981 with a bachelor's degree in accounting. He's the founder and former president of the Tandem Energy Corporation and has been an independent oil and gas owner and operator since 1993. Mr. Culp's a very active member of the community in Midland, having served on boards of directors for the Midland Chamber of Commerce, the Samaritan Counseling Center, Midland Fair Havens, which is an organization that helps with single moms, and the board of directors for the National Multiple Sclerosis Society, and also active at his church, First United Methodist Church there in Midland. He served on the Texas Tech Foundation as chairman of the board, and Mr. Culp's family is also very familiar with Texas Tech, as his wife and 3 of his 4 kids also have degrees from Texas Tech University. Thus, Mr. Culp's nomination to the Texas Tech System Board of Regents is exceedingly appropriate, and we're glad that you're here today. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
That's great. Members, questions for him? All right. Well, you have served on a number of boards that are related to Texas Tech. Let me have you go ahead and, I just already felt so familiar, I was going to just
start in with questions?
bypass those 2 minutes.
That would not be a problem, I promise you. Thank you,
Go
Madam
ahead and
Chair.
give us a couple of minutes.
Thank you for this
Introduce
opportunity.
yourself.
Thank you, Vice Chairman Sparks, for that great introduction. Thank you, members, for having me here this morning. This is an honor and a privilege to testify before you this morning. I'm very humbled and thankful for the opportunity that Governor Abbott has given me to serve on the Texas Tech Board of Regents. My name is Tim Culp, and I am from Midland, Texas. I grew up and was raised in a town called Andrews, Texas, about 40 miles northwest of Midland. I graduated from Andrews High School in 1977 and enrolled in Texas Tech in the fall of that same year. As Senator Sparks said, I graduated from Texas Tech with a BBA in accounting in 1981. I paid for my entire college education by working in the summers in the Andrews oil fields during the summer and working in Lubbock part-time during the school year. I married my high school sweetheart after graduation, and we moved to Midland later that same year. My professional career started as a CPA for the public accounting firm of Pete Malrick Mitchell, known today as KPMG Pete Malrick. I worked for Pete Malrick for 5 years and went to work for a company called Adobe Resources, which is a large independent oil and gas company in Midland. Adobe was acquired by a Houston-based company in 1992, at which time I formed a small independent oil and gas company and have been an oil and gas independent operator for the past 30 years, as Senator Sparks mentioned. I have married my high school sweetheart. We've been married for 42 years. We raised 4 children in Midland, 2 boys and 2 girls, 3 of which graduated from Texas Tech. Our oldest son married a Texas Longhorn. Our oldest daughter married an Oklahoma Sooner. Our youngest daughter married an A&M Aggie, and our youngest son married a Red Raider. So we have some pretty competitive and sometimes friendly competition during the course of the season. I've had a strong love and passion for Texas Tech my entire year. I've served on a number of boards and committees in Midland and in Texas Tech, as Senator Sparks mentioned. It would be an honor and a privilege to serve Texas Tech on the Texas Tech Board of Regents if I have your support. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, it's a very prestigious nomination, most certainly.
Thank you.
So I'm glad you appreciate that. Senator Vice Chair Sparks.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. So I am very thankful for Texas Tech. I tell everybody, my sweet wife, Jilly, from Monahans, elected to go to Texas Tech. Had she gone off to the big city, Dallas or Houston, we might not have ever met, so I will be eternally grateful to Texas Tech. But, you know, since graduating from Tech in the early 80s, I mean, we've seen it grow from kind of a regional university to really, it's just continued to flourish out there with, focus on engineering, agriculture, and medicine, among other things. What do you see as some of the challenges before Tech? Anytime any type of organization has that kind of growth, it comes with some inherent challenges. So what do you see kind of on the forefront of challenges for Texas Tech?
Thank you for that question, Senator Sparks. When I graduated from Texas Tech, we had about 18,000 students. We are at 40,000 students and have been for the last several years. A big part of that's because we became a university system. We've had substantial increase in growth and substantial successes at Texas Tech. We've added a vet school, we've added a dental school, a couple of nursing schools, and a physician's assistant school, to name a few. We've also added Angelo State University in San Angelo and Midwestern State in Wichita Falls to our system. So the successes that we've had is probably a big part of it is because we've been part of the university system. We formed in 1996 and the state of Texas established in 1999. So very fortunate. The biggest challenges I see is what Madam Chair Campbell mentioned earlier and Mr. Gant mentioned is the cost of to go to colleges and universities. I put myself through school for about $20,000 40 years ago. I just recently put 4 kids through college, 3 in Texas and 1 in Oklahoma. The cost was over $100,000, and that's books and tuition, room and board, living costs, fraternity sororities, and all the extracurricular that usually comes with it. We've got to find a way to get that cost of education down. Certainly scholarships will help. Continued partnerships with community colleges, junior colleges, early college high schools, so those students can stay home for the first year or two. But we also need to make sure we're fully utilizing all of the scholarships available to them. We have 40,000 students. 26% of those are Pell Grant eligible. 22% at Tech, or 85% of the 26, are utilizing that Pell Grant. To Texas Tech students, that's about 1,200 students at about $7,000 per year for 4 years, up to 6 years if you need it longer. That's $8.5 million that our students at Texas Tech alone could be using for federal grants. You don't have to pay that back. We need to be using those Pell Grants to the fullest extent.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Members, any other questions? All right, well, with that. All right, you can talk to him afterwards. Thank you.
Yeah, well, for the record, I was not on the Board of Regents when Texas Tech took North Texas basketball coach, just for the benefit of Senator Springer, for the record.
Well, look at that. You're reading his mind. Okay, as if he didn't.
Well, we had that discussion in the hall a couple of weeks ago. Thank you, Senator Springer.
Thank you, Mr. Culp.
Thank you for the
We
opportunity.
look forward to you serving. Members, there are no other nominees to come before us today. We most certainly have a big agenda of nominees. We have no one. Is there anybody here? The chair will now open up public testimony. Is there anyone here wishing to testify? All right, we see no witnesses, and if there's no one here wishing to offer public testimony is now closed. Members, I would actually like to call a vote on the nominees that were posted on our agenda today, which includes obviously those who came before us. Members, are there any requests to sever?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Senator Miles.
Madam Chair, I'm going to move to sever Richard Johnson, nominee for Board of Texas Southern Region, who has not come before us today. Madam Chair and members, as many of you know, Texas Southern sits in the Senate District 13, which is my district, and I have had an active interest in nominees for the Board of Regents for the last 16 years since I've been serving members, all of the 16 years. The school has had a history of financial mismanagement and management issues, and I've stressed the need of nominees that provide strong oversight at Texas Southern University. For that reason, Madam Chair, I'm going to ask and request from you and the board and the committee that we sever Richard Johnson, nominee for the Board of Texas Southern University, I'll be voting no on that particular one, and that's why I'm asking to sever.
Thank you, Senator Miles. Thank you very much. Senator Miles requests that Dr. Richard Johnson, who's been appointed to the Texas Southern University Board of Regents, be severed from the list of nominees on our posted agenda today. Members, we will vote on the remaining nominees that have not been severed. Senator Sparks moves the nominees on our posted agenda today, minus Dr. Richard Johnson, be reported to the full Senate for confirmation. The clerk will please call the roll.
Campbell.
Aye.
Sparks.
Aye.
Alvarado. Eckhart.
Aye.
Hughes.
Yes.
Lamantia. Miles.
Aye.
Paxton. Springer.
Aye.
There being 8 ayes, 0 nays, the Senate Committee on Nominations recommends that the full Senate confirm those nominees we voted on, the non-severed nominees. Members, we will now vote on the severed nominee, Dr. Richard Johnson, who's been appointed to the Texas Southern University Board of Regents. Senator Sparks moves the nomination of Dr. Richard Johnson, who's been appointed to the Texas Southern University Board of Regents, be reported to the full Senate for confirmation. Clerk, please call the roll.
Campbell.
Aye.
Sparks.
Aye.
Alvarado. Eckhart.
No.
Hughes.
Yes.
Lamantia.
Aye.
Miles.
No.
Paxton.
Aye.
Springer.
He's not contacted me, so I will be voting no.
There being 5 ayes and 3 nays, the Senate Committee on Nominations recommends to the full Senate that they confirm Dr. Richard Johnson. Is there any other business to come before the committee? With no other business to come before the committee, and upon motion by, before I do that, members, Senator Eckhart and Senator Lamantia and Senator Hughes request their motion in writing be counted in our vote today. Is there any objection? Hearing none. All right. Members, any other business to come before the committee? With no other business to come before the committee today, a motion by Senator Sparks, the committee stands in recess, subject to the call of the chair. Thank you.